Hi, my name is Shea. I'd like to welcome you to my CCNA training. In this training, I'll be talking about how you can configure Dynamic NAT. I actually introduced NAT to in my previous video. My configuring static NAT. I did an introductory class to what NAT is, but basically just looking at the class note here, you can actually just do a recap. What NAT is. NAT means network address translation and all that. The types of NAT: static, dynamic, and path. Basic term you need to be aware of: inside local, inside global, and all that. So you could actually go back to the configuring static NAT. I did a lot of explanation there, so you will get the gist on that video. But for us to configure the configuring dynamic NAT, now there are four different steps you need to go through. Number one, we need to ensure that both interfaces are configured as inside and outside. So looking at this topology here, this is what we're going to use as inside, because the traffic is going to flow from here into, so the traffic is going to go here, so inside. So this FA00 will be inside, this serial interface is going to be outside. Okay, so we're going to configure that. Number two, we need to create a NAT pool, because I said private IP address is translating private IP addresses to public IP address from a pool of public IP. So we're going to use the NAT pool to configure the pool of IP addresses. That you're going to use a pool of private IP addresses, public IP address, I mean to say. Okay, so pool of public IP addresses. The next thing is we're going to create an access list. So the access list talks about that we're going to use a couple of this network. Is going to pull IP address from a pool of static IP address. Okay, so that's why we need to configure an IP access list. If you don't configure an IP access list, you won't be able to pick an IP address from a pool, because you're going to match that pool to the to the network. Okay, so it's very important that you configure the access list. That we need to apply the access list to the NAT pool. So at the NAT pool, when traffic is coming in, you can say, okay, this IP address as is coming in, I'm going to match it to this particular pool and all that. So that's where you'll be configuring the access list. Okay, so that is that about that. I've done a lot of explanation on what dynamic NAT is on our previous video. So this video I'm just going to dive straight into the configuration. For you to have a proper understanding, just go back to my previous video on configuring static NAT. You get the full gist of what the static NAT is, of what dynamic NAT really is. Okay, so let's quickly dive into our configuration. On this route, I've actually configured my interfaces. I've added IP address to all my interfaces. If I do show IP interface brief. Okay, so these are my IP addresses. This is my local gateway, and this is my interface facing my internet. Okay, so what I need to do, like I said, if we follow this step, is to ensure that we have configured NAT inside and out outside. So on this router, our NAT inside is going to be FA00, and our NAT outside is going to SA02. Okay, this interface is going to be our NAT outside. So I've actually configured it on the router, but let me show you how to configure it. Okay, so what you just need to do is to go into the interface in question. So interface FA00. So to do that, just do IP NAT, okay, inside, and you press enter. I've already done that before, so it's not a big deal. So for the other one, you do interface S020. So you do your IP NAT outside. Okay, so that's actually done. So the next thing we need to do is to create a pool of IP address. So first thing we need to do is to configure that, we do IP NAT pool. Okay, so we name our pool as whatever thing we want to name it as. What pool name it as anything. So for me, I'll use internet as the name of our pool. Okay, so now that we've done that, it's going to ask for the pool, for the starting IP address and the ending IP address. So for me, I use this /2024 /2029. So that means I have a valid host of 6 valid hosts. So I've used 2 for the interfaces, so I have 4 left. So I'm going to start from 22.23.11.220.27, okay, to 23.11.220.230. Okay, so I'm going to do that. It's going to ask for my network mask. I do my net mask of 255.255.248. Okay, so now we're done. So the third thing is to create an access list. So we do an access list. We're going to use standard to do that because standard only deals with source. So we do standard one. Then we do the network that we want to add. So 192.168.10. We're actually going to permit this network. So we do permit 192.168.10.0 network. It's going to have for the net mask. So our net mask is going to be 0.0.0.0.255. Okay, so now I've created the access list. So what I need to do is to match the access list and the pool together. So to do that, I do IP NAT inside. Okay, so inside source lists 1. That's my access list as 1. So I do my pool name, pool internet. I think I'm sure. Yeah, good. Okay, so we've actually done the 4 configuration. First of all, you need to assign your NAT to your interfaces, your in and out. Secondly, you create a NAT pool, which we've done here. And thirdly, you create an access list, which we've done here. And number 4, we create a pool of IP addresses we've done. So what we need to do is now we do an exit. Okay, so what we need to do is to go into our PCs and let's see how we could ping. So the thing about this is that the concept about dynamic, let me just quickly do a recap, is that dynamic NAT is going to translate a private IP address into a public IP address, but it's going to pick it from a pool of IP addresses. So we've created a pool. So this IP address is going to be translated into any of the IP address from the pool so that it can communicate on the public network. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ping this interface. So that interface is going to be /20. It's going to be 26. So I'm going to do. I've actually done that here before. So we'll just do up. So ping 23. So I'm going to have a reply. Okay. So it's going to translate my private IP address into one of the public pool of IP addresses. Okay. So if I do another one, let me pick another PC. This PC, for example, and I configure and I do the same thing. Okay. So 26 again. So this is another private IP address. It's going to translate this IP address into one of the IPs from the pool. So the last one here, it's going to do the same thing here. So it's going to pick each of these IP addresses. And one of the things about using dynamic is that the environment where you use dynamic is that an environment where not everybody's routing to the internet. So let's say you have, out of all your networks, you have like let's say 5 PCs that go into on the internet intermittently. So you can use the dynamic IP address, configure dynamic NAT. So out of the 3 pieces, one of these, they don't go concurrently, so they go once in a while. So you can do a 4 public IP, so they can make use of one. So out of those IP addresses, so it means that not every IP addresses will be communicating on the internet. So let's do to verify our NAT translations. So let's go back to the router and we do show IP NAT translations. Okay, so if you look at this here, look at the translation. My inside local, I use 3 IP addresses, public inside local IP. So I use .2, .3, and .4. These are the 4 IP addresses that I actually made use of. So this is my outside local. These are the IP addresses that was pinging, and this is our outside global too. Okay, so this is the IP addresses that I was pinging. This is the outside global. This is the outside local. Okay, so this is the protocol we're making use of here is ICMP, so that's ping and pinging. So my inside global, this is the IP address that it translates into. Okay, so the IP addresses is translated. So my 192.168.10.2 net IP is translated into 27. Okay, my .3 is translated into 28. My .4 is translated into 29. These IP addresses are from the pool of IP addresses. Okay, so if you look at your notes, I said that my inside global is the IP addresses that is being translated to. My inside local is the private IP address that needs to be translated. My outside global is the IP address that we want to translate into outside local, that we really want to translate into. Okay, and my outside global is the IP address that we're also translating into. Okay, so this aspect is more on the public side. So that means that if I quickly come here, so that means that my outside global is the interface that is operating at this level. Okay, so the IP address that is operating at this level, these are our global local and my outside local and my outside global. Okay, so that's how that works. Quickly go back. Outside local and outside global. Okay, so my outside global, this is the IP address I've been trying to ping. My outside local and my outside global. When we ping this IP address is more like the IP address that is responding back to us. Okay, so that's how that actually works. So I want to thank you very much for viewing this video. I hope it's very informative to you. I also encourage that you read your CCNA textbook just to get more detailed information. But that basically, these are things that you need to get to know in your NAT session. Understand what NAT is, understand different types of NAT, understand the key terms of what inside global, inside local, and outside global mean, and how to configure some of these interfaces. So I want to thank you very much again, once again, for viewing. I hope this video is very informative to you. Thank you very much and have a lovely day.